What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of, you guessed it, Joel's Crime Stories. If it's your first time tuning into the broadcast, do me a favor, go ahead on and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell all the way to the top. Please like and share. Like and share, it helps the channel continue to grow. Now, please believe, if I have more than one channel. Not only do I have the crime channel, I also have my political channel, which a lot of my crime stories is over there as well. Just go ahead on and subscribe over there as well. The link will be down below in the description. And also, please donate. It helps the channel continue to grow. I'm independent, so you know how that is. The crime channel is not monetized right now. So, with that being said, let's jump into this. So I decided to do Cassie Joe Studdart. This was a case that started when I was in the military. Just got in. It was kind of a shocker because there was a teenage girl who was basically stabbed and just taken out of this world. But since I don't reveal to you about how she already had died, I am going to break down how this all started, going from the parties involved, the place that would it's coming from, and everything else. So first things first, let's take our time and let's take a trip to memory lane. All right, aka we about to go in the time machine a little bit, baby. You know how that goes. So let's snap my fingers right quick. Oh man, here we go. We in 2006. Now y'all remember 2006 was a vibrant time for a lot of people. A lot of things was moving fast. We're getting closer and closer to the end of the early 2000s, right? Right. Now, during this time, cell phones were starting to get very popular. I mean, by that time, you seeing people got the sidekick, or people getting into all kind of stuff. Now we're going into the little town of Idaho, Pocatello, Idaho. Now, Pocatello, Idaho is a Mormon-based town. Now, if you don't know what the Mormon faith is, basically, there was a time that they were into poly, having more than one couple, but wives and stuff. But now they're more of a conservative like based faith. But anyway, Pocatello is very religious type of town. Population of real residents is 55,000. You got about 94,000 that goes through the metro area. Now, it's one of those towns where everybody knows everybody. Um, Lots of scenery, hiking, a lot of parks. It's just an outdoorsy town. So if you're a person that loves the outdoors, this town is for you. And there in this town is a young lady named Cassie Joe Studdart. Now, I think Cassie Joe Studdart had two siblings. Uh, I think she had a older brother. I think she had two siblings. Um, but anyway it goes, she was a straight A student. When I say straight A student, Cassie Studdart was the type of girl that she was bubbly, fun, but when it came to doing the things that she needed to do, she did it to a T. All right. Family didn't really have too much trouble with her going against the rules. Now, her grandmother uh, also talks about how much of a responsible person she was and how she was just a beautiful soul. Now, while in high school, a pretty girl like Cassie, there's got to be some admirers, right? Well, there was one admirer that liked her, and that is Brian Draper. Now, I don't too much know where Brian Draper is from, except for I know that he was born in Salt Lake City, Utah. Now he was born in March the 21st, 1990. A little creepy, makes him an Aries. Uh, Pretty much, uh, he moved he moved with his family to Pocatello, Idaho. Don't know when the exact date. And then while in high school, he met up with Tori Adamick. Now, Tori Michael Adamick was born in Pocatello, Idaho, as well. He was basically an outcast. Now, they said that Brian was the type that was obsessed. Tori was the type was obsessed with the Scream movie. Because this is when the Scream movie first came out during that time. He wanted to make a movie like Scream. He wanted to be famous. He was always into filming and horror. And, kind of weirded people out. So you got two weird outcast young guys who basically just didn't blend well in the social world of school. Like they're not the type of people that you're gonna be like, yo, I'm hanging out with Tori today. I'm hanging out with Brian today. Wasn't that type of people. So as that moves on, uh, Brian and Tori hanging out, and sometime during that time, they started being cool with Cassie's boyfriend, which is Mr. Beckham. Now I want to see if I want to get his first name right. There's a lot of people to remember in this thing. Give me 1 second here. I want to give y'all the whole Matt. That's right, Matt Beckham. I want to make sure I was right. So Matt Beckham. So anyway, Matt was cool, was friends with these guys, all right, and he's also Casey Joe Studdart's boyfriend at the time. Now, a lot of people said that Brian was mad crushing, aka had a huge crush on Cassie Studdart, but Cassie just did not give him the type of day. She was into Matt. Now, I don't really know too much about Matt's background, uh, that much. I know after the trial and everything, Matt kind of went dormant. So you don't really hear a lot about Matt. So either way it goes, these kids, Adam and Brian, have been talking about getting famous. Now they made a bunch of videos, which you come back to. I'm not going to show it in this clip here, but you can research it about how they would talk about plotting the perfect murder. Doing they just wanted to murder be famous by doing some kind of slasher type murder. So now we're gonna go and fast forward on the month of September. All right, September the 22nd. Now at September the 22nd is when everything went down. Cassie was dropped off to the house with along with her boyfriend Matt Beckham, uh, to help out with some house sitting duties. Now, Cassie, I think aunt and uncle was out of town. They had some animals that need to be cared for, and they wanted somebody to be over there and watch for the house. Now, they were out there on Whispering Cliffs. Now, if you don't know Whispering Cliffs is basically a very, very, very secluded like area. Okay, very secluded. So woodsy, the whole nine. Because it's Idaho, right? Like I just said, it's a nature area. So while they're there hanging out, that's when the boyfriend Matt slides to her and tell her, "Hey, babe, I have invited my homeboys to come through. Uh, Tori and Brian. So I'm quite sure that, excuse me, let me rephrase that. That's what's been saying. But in court documents, I'm going by what court documents say. Him and Cassie decided, since they were hanging out over there at her uh, aunt's house sitting, why don't we invite Adam and Tori? Okay, so that's what they did. They invited, excuse me, Mike, Mom. Oh, I'm getting the names wrong. Brian and Tori. Sorry, I don't know why I said Adam. Brian and Tori. So Brian and Tori comes over and everything else at around about either 6:30 or 7 o'clock. So think about this. It was dropped off at between 4 and 4:30 at the house that she's gonna house sit, along with her boyfriend Matt, and then they invited the other uh guys over that came around about 6:30 or 7 o'clock. So they spent about 2 hours over there between 8:30 and 9 o'clock. Draper informed Studdart and Beckham that he needed to leave, and shortly after, uh, Draper and Adam departed because they said we're gonna go try to catch a movie. All right, whatever. So anyway, after they left, this is what these guys had got the idea to do. They Snoop, because after they was given, because she gave them a tour while they was there of the house. Let me put that into perspective. She gave them a tour about how big this house is, how lovely it is. Like any teenager, yeah, man, I got the hookup. I'm babysitting this house. It's pretty cool. La la la, and told them a tour of the basement. Well, what they did is they found a way to get into the basement. Not only did they find a way to get in the basement, but they found a way to start messing with the circuit breakers. All right, messing with the power. Now, when the power went out, Beckham, who her boyfriend, because they hearing the power out, strange stuff going on. He asked his mom, "Hey, mom, can I stay over to spend the night at my girl's house? She's in this big behind house. The power's out. I want to show support." Well, the mom was like, "No, you're not going there, but I would and everything. I'm not comfortable with you spending the night." Now, after that went down, he called Adamic to tell, which is Tori, his homeboy Tori Adamic, and say, "Hey Tori, I'm going home for the night, man." And he said that when he talked to Tori was responding to him in a whisper. Now, a lot of people, I've heard, a lot of these, YouTube sleuths out here saying, I don't know why he called his boy to tell him he going home and he with his girl and she already feeling, uneasy at this big house. Listen, this is my opinion on that. I was 16 and I thought like a 16-year-old young boy. If you cool with your friends and they had other plans, that is quite natural to say, especially if it's a weekend. Hey man, I'm going back to the house or whatever. You want to kick it because I really want to, go home. Or I really want to stay out longer. I want to, I want to do something longer. I mean, teenagers do that all the time. So that's not necessarily means that, okay, he did that to give old boy the okay to do what happened in the story. But that's my opinion. I digress. So after this went down, and he phoned Adamant to inform him about what's going on, Beckham later said in court documents that during the conversation that Adamant spoke with a whisper and claimed to be at a movie. So Beckham and Adamant spent the following after that he left. He said, "Well, I want to go home." So when he left, his mom came to pick him up. Now, this is not in court documents, but this is just in the documentary as well. Been stated, Beckham had asked his mom, I really don't feel comfortable leaving my girl by herself. See, this is when I know that whoever's saying that he was involved was full of BS, because why would he be so adamant for this girl to go and not to stay or not be by herself? So that should tell you right then, this is how much the man cared about his girl. Because if he didn't, he would have just popped in the car and said, fuck it. But again, that's just my opinion. So anyway, mom said, well, I could do this. She can come over to our house to spend the night until it's daylight tomorrow, and we got to figure out what's going on and why, all the strange things is happening at that house. Well, being the person that Casey Joe Studdart is, because she's a very responsible young lady at that time at 16, and she made a promise to her family to make sure that everything get taken care of. She was like, no, I will stay here. It'll be fine. I'll get up with you later. So they left. So while she let him leave, that's when things got crazy again. The noise and everything else. It started getting more and more and more crazy. Now, in the court documents, Adamic thought that he wanted to go there for a party. Now, again, I hear a lot of internet sleuths on YouTube and everybody else talking about, well, if you're having a party, why didn't he bring more than one person? And I still think that other people listen. These guys were outcasts. So if they were to say there was going to be a party and put it out there that it was going to be where they said it was going to be at, and being the person that it was going to be, people already know who Cassie Joe was. She's a straight arrow. She's very, strict, reserved. Matt Beckham, what the kind of idea I got from him, from a little bit of sources I've heard, he was just a, straight arrow somewhat too. They're not coming through. Kids like to be around kids that's going to allow them to act up and get crunk, get rowdy, desperate for being popular. Now, if it was a party at their house, Tori Adamick, or let's say, for instance, Brian Draper, I'm quite sure people would have came because they know that they're outcasts. They're trying to get popular. So that's how I feel on that. So anyway it goes, that's what Adamick stated as well. But we all know that is a bunch of baloney. Now, what happened and what was confessed was that when it came to the murder, that they decided, as when the time was right, that Cassie would never basically come down there to check out the noise. They kept playing with the lights. So they just basically ran up on Cassie and stabbed this girl. Now, when they did this, they went like nuts on camera, and I'm going to show you this clip right here after they did what they did to Cassie.
There should be no law against killing people. I know it's a wrong thing, but hell, you restrict somebody from it, they're gonna want it more.
We found our victim, and sad as it may be, she's our friend. But you know what? We all have to make sacrifices. Our first victim is going to be Cassie Studdart. She's going to be alone in a big, dark house out in the middle of nowhere. How perfect can you get? I mean, like, holy shit, dude.
I'm horny just thinking about it.
Hell yeah. Time is 9:50, September 22nd, 2006. We know there's lots of doors. There's lots of places to hide. I locked the back doors, so it's all locked. Now we just gotta wait. I just killed Cassie. We just left her house. This is not a fucking joke.
I'm shaking.
I stabbed her in the throat, and I saw her lifeless body just and disappear. Dude, I just killed Cassie. Oh, fuck. That felt like it wasn't even real. I mean, it went by so fast.
Shut the fuck up. We gotta get our act straight.
Okay.
So now they done killed this girl, right? So after these two so-called best friends to Matt Beckham then killed his girlfriend, Cassie Joe Studdart, they turned around and hanged out with him the next day. While hanging out with him the next day, he's trying to get in touch with Cassie. He's like, yo, I, Cassie's not picking up. What's up with this? And mind you, these guys know that Cassie has been murdered and is just calmly hanging out with this guy like there's nothing wrong. Yeah, man, nothing wrong, man. Everything's kosher. So either way it goes, Matt Beckham just chucked it up to the game. Like, all right, well, my girl is probably got a lot going on. She is house sitting. It is what it is, right? All right, cool. So September the 24th, 2006 is a day that is going to stick in the Studdart family memory for life. That's when the aunt and uncle return home, and the cousin finds her 16-year-old cousin in a pool of blood, dead on the floor. Laceration, stab wounds. By the time they got there, she was dead. Now, as the investigation begins, the first person they're going to go to is Matt Beckham. He's the boyfriend. And hearts are racing. He's got to make sure that they know, listen, I ain't got nothing to do with this. This is not my call. I did not do this to Cassie. So that's when the detectives heard from him and everyone else that Tori Adamick and Brian Draper was also one of the last people as well to see this lovely young lady alive. Now, they went to Adamick's house immediately for an interview that day. Now, Adamick's father, Sean Adamick, was present. And, the interview was the first two interviews that the detectives, Thomas and Gronsky, conducted with Adamick. Now, during the course of the first interview, Adamick informed the detectives that him and Draper had gone to Whispering Pride's residence, oh yeah, around 8:30 p.m. on September 22nd on 2006 for a party. But Adamick stated that when it became apparent that a party was not going to take place, he and Draper decided to go and see a movie in Pocatello. See, this is where I say again that the detective saw bullshit through that whole line. If you know these are straight Arab people, why would you expect it being a party? I mean, these kids are straight edge kids. All right, they're one of the few people that want to deal with you because you act so crazy. So if she's got the house to herself and she's a straight arrow like Cassie is, she's not gonna have a party. Now, if you were looking for a party, this is the time you should have got in where you fit in, or maybe y'all should have discovered somewhere to throw a party. But again, this is my opinion. I digress. Now, when the detective questioned Adamant regarding the movie he had reportedly seen, and I don't know what the movie he said seen because it never said it in the documents. I've been trying to find out what this movie was. This guy couldn't tell him nothing about the movie. See, this is the first thing that detectives always realize in these court cases. They're gonna look at how you describe where you was at, what you was actually doing, and how you was actually doing it. And if you can't remember any of those things, you already got red flags all over you. Unless you got a real medical condition when you got short-term memory loss. Maybe they might think about it as a pass, but doubt it. So either way it goes, he also said that he going to spend the night at his boy Tori Adamick's house afterwards. Now, on a couple of days after that interview, they went and talked to Brian Draper. Now, some way, somehow, Brian Draper cracked. All right, maybe he saw the writing in the forest or whatever. And when he did crack, he led law enforcement agents to the stash of evidence that they buried in Black Rock Canyon area, which is like a little site. They had like a wilderness like area where they buried uh their stuff that they had going on there. They found two dagger style knives and they had sheaths. It had a silver and black handled knife with a smooth and non-serrated serrated blade, a folding knife with a silver black blade and a black handle, like a survival knife, a homemade Sony videotape, which talks about some of the stuff that they were doing and what they were bragging about on the video that I previously showed to you. Um, a box of stick matches, a melted brown bottle of hydrogen peroxide, a partially burned uh, notebook paper, partially melted multicolored mask, red and white mask, a pair of black boots, a single black glove, a pair of black Puma gloves, a pair of blue latex gloves, a pair of fingerless black athletic works gloves, a black Calvin Klein dress shirt, and a black Hagger shirt. Now, when all this was presented to Adamick, he admitted that that was some of his handwriting and some of the stuff that they were writing. With all the evidence, and they even looked at the tape and even hear Brian Draper saying, "We're going for a high death count." Adamick, Tory Adamick. Plus, we're not going to get caught, Brian. If we're going for guns, we're just going to end it. We're just going to grab the guns and get out of there and kill everybody and leave. Brian Draper. We're going to make history. We're going to make history. And Adamick, Tory Adamick. For all you FBI agents watching this, Brian Draper laughing. Tory Adamick. You weren't quick enough. So they just basically it's a long dialogue of how they were just mocking, acting the crazy, just being messed up. And this is a continuous of how they were just videotaping and setting them up. Now, the reason why I said that Matt wasn't involved because in these videos, these kids were just basically saying that, just basically ragging on Matt, saying that he wasn't had the balls enough to investigate all the stuff that they were doing. So they were recording all of this. They were just being messed up. Now, I don't have all of the videos because some of these videos is hard to come across right now. Um, they're mostly in documentaries, but these guys, man, they just, it's just crazy. So anyway, on September 27, 2006, after the BRC site evidence was found, detectives Gansky and Thomas conducted a second interview with Adamick at the Pocatello Police Department in the presence of Adamick parents. Detective Gansky read Adamick his Miranda rights at the beginning of the interview Adamick signed a waiver of rights form. During the course of the interview, Adamick informed detectives Gans and Thomas that he and Brian Draper basically arrived at the Whispering Cliffs residence at 8 or 8:30. They got the tour of the house. And then talking about at 10 o'clock, they attempted to break in the cars, but that wasn't working. That was not that was not working. Nobody was buying that. And after he said all of that, and he wouldn't tell the truth because Brian had already rolled on him, they went and arrested him. They went on and put old boy in arrest. Guess he didn't get the memo. When they get you in for a time like that and you got your parents present, they already got something that you don't know nothing about. Now, at the trial, they talked about the forensics, about how many times this girl had got assaulted. 30 knife-related wounds was on this girl's body. She was not going to live through this at all. They went to overkill. And the first one she was going, the first knife strike was at the right ventricle of Cassie Studdart heart. So she was dead on impact, y'all. God, when you think about that, a 16-year-old dead, all because another group of 16-year-olds want to live out a twisted fantasy, man. It's heartbroken. Anyway, on June the 8th, 2007, they found Adamick guilty of both conspiracy to commit first-degree murder and first-degree murder. And then when he got sentenced, Adamick got life in prison and 30 years for committing conspiracy of murder. Brian Draper got convicted of murder and is sentenced to life in prison. Now, Adamick got like this whole thing going on, man. People trying to support this dude, talking about he's free, that he's innocent, and trying to get him to come home. But the evidence is so overwhelming. I don't even know how in the hell somebody can support this cat to have this type of thing going on for him. Like I don't know. Now, the thing about Adamick is uh Adamick, Tory Adamick, is done appeals. His first appeal was in 20, I want to say 8, so what he did in 2007. That one got filed and it got denied. He filed another appeal. I want to say, let me see when he filed the other appeal. I know he did one immediately in 2007. I know that one got denied. Yeah. So let's jump into this. So it was 2000. The one he did in 2007 immediately got looked at in 2010. And then you had Draper trying to do it in 2011, trying to have their convictions vacated so they could give a limited life sentence that would allow them to be released on parole if approved after 30 years. But the first appeal for both Adam and Draper was denied, a 3-2 decision. And they should have known this was going to get denied because there's video evidence of these young kids bragging about how they're going to enjoy murdering this little girl. So they should have known this was going to be a no. The high court vacated Draper's conviction on conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, saying that the jury was given unanimous instructions on that charge. But they did affirm his conviction of first-degree murder and life sentence without parole. In 2015, Adam gained a hearing for post-conviction relief, he claimed that the testimony from the character witnesses could have changed the outcome of the sentencing, but that his former attorney against Adam's parents' wishes choose not to call upon these witnesses. Adam said that his attorney believed that the prosecution would have submitted even more damaging evidence, but in March 2016, Judge Brown denied his request for post-conviction relief. Adam appealed Judge Brown's decision in the Idaho Supreme Court. Now, that hearing was held on November the 9th, 2017, and on December 26th, Idaho Supreme Court rejected Adams' appeal for the court post conviction relief, upholding the district court's decision. There's Adamant trying to get out, well, I'm telling you. Then Adamant turned around and filed a federal writ of habeas corpus in 2018. Now, I know y'all probably going to ask me what habeas corpus means. Yeah, so basically, he wanted to make it where they had to have a court to see if he was legally imprisoned. And if he wasn't legally in prison, he trying to get home. But yeah, he should have known that wasn't gonna happen. I don't know what he was thinking. But anyway, let's get back to the story about his appeals of this habeas corpus that he tried to do, because which he argues in the Idaho Supreme Court denied his first appeal based on a theory that was not presented to the jury. Adamick also argued that he should be entitled to a new sentencing hearing in light of the Miller and Montgomery case. Now, if y'all don't know what the Miller and Montgomery case is, this is a case where they were talking about it is highly uh, inhumane to sentence juveniles to life in prison, and in some cases, yeah, life imprisonment. So basically, a lot of people that fit that category that have done, horrible crimes as a juvenile were being able to be released early. uh Not released early, but get reduced sentences. So basically, let's say you got life in prison, you already done served like 10, 15 years. They go out here and they say, all right, we understand what you're talking about. We're gonna just slap you 20. So, you just got 20 to serve now to finish up. Get to 20 years. Or let's say, for instance, they gave you life and you already done did 30 years. Some cases they may let you go home based upon behavior. It's crazy. But it's one of those new cases, the new things that they have been discussing about for the longest. Now, the federal magistrate court, Candy W. Dale, presided over Adamick's writ, and on November the 25th, 2019, she denied it. So Adamick is currently appealing Judge Dale's decision to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. So basically, they're making it sure that he's never getting out of jail. Now, in 2010, the Studdart family filed a civil lawsuit against the Idaho School District. They claimed that the school was negligent and should have known that Draper and Adamick posed a threat to others. Both the civil court and the state Supreme Court dismissed the case, saying the actions of the killers were not foreseeable. And because of all this, this is what has happened with the Studdart family. So the aunt and uncle that owned that property on Whispering Cliffs, things just got bad for the mom. The aunt just she got strung out on drugs. I want to say she got stressed out. She's went through a lot. I think she started getting on drugs. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But she just had a hard time. A lot of things just didn't work out. The uncle had to work multiple jobs, and they just couldn't stay in the house. Now, I want to say something happened to Cassie Joe's um Studdart cousin. I want to make sure I'm right about this. Uh, Let me see here. I want to say that the cousin that found this girl went through a lot. I mean, they went through a lot. I'm talking about she yeah. I want to say something happened to this girl, and I'm trying to make sure I'm right. I don't want to lie, but I'm trying to find out if something happened to her. I think somebody said that this girl passed away, but I know that the parents cannot sell that house. They cannot sell the house. And this is Frank and Allison Contaris. Yeah. They built this nice big behind home and they can't sell it. Nobody don't want it. Every time they put it in the market, it won't even get off there. Yeah, it was his 13-year-old daughter that found her dead at the time. And she lost her job and fell into depression. That's what it was. Allison, the wife, the Allison lost her job, fell into depression. He had to get a second job. Now I want to make sure I was right to support his wife medication. And the stepdaughter, which is his wife's daughter, Allison's daughter, had a mental breakdown, and the girl tried to commit suicide. So they have had no offers. And it says on a 2.5 mile road, 2 acres off 2.5 mile road, it's got a 1,600 square foot of family space. And that's pretty big. 1,600 square feet, pretty big. That's almost 2,000 square feet. Now, Allison still lives in the house with their 12-year-old son. Frank, however, no longer lives there. And that was back in 2014. So, that's been like, what, 7 years ago? So that boy's probably 19 now. He said, we just want out. We at the point that we'll take what we owe. And so nobody never brought it. Nobody never brought it. Now, realist is going to say if it's property marketed, it'll sell. But who wants a house where a teenage girl was murdered unjustly? I mean, people scared it may be spirits in there, it may be haunted. You know how people are. So, anyway, this case here, to wrap this up, it just goes to show you guys, you can't trust everybody. And everybody that seems weird and harmless may be a little bit more to them than just that. Because currently, right now, Brian Draper and Tori Adamick is where they're supposed to be, in prison. They made a decision at the age of 16 to go out here and hurt someone. Now, I don't know about y'all, but if you got the cojones to make the decision to hurt somebody, then at that age, you should have the responsibility to accept the punishment that's given to you. Again, rest in peace to Cassie Joe Studdart. I have the links in all of the documentary and footage that I put into this broadcast. Also, too, please do me a huge favor. Please like, subscribe, and share. Like, subscribe, and share. I love you guys. Take care of yourself and each other. I'm out.